Andrew Golden, welcome to the Sport Profile.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to get this going.
Thank you, my friend. I'm pumped too. How has the national season been so far? First season covering the Nats for the Baltimore Banner, and it's exciting to see their expansion into DC. First of all, the Banner's coverage, and how has it been for you covering a team that you're very familiar with, but now with a new organization?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool for sure. I think like there's a lot of change. Like it looks different, even in the sense of like, the job and the role and what I'm doing, or who I'm working for is different too.
Yeah,
It's a brand new team in a lot of ways. So it feels very fresh to me. Where I'm like, I don't like there are people walking by and like, the past couple of years, like, oh, I know this person, I know that person is like, now it's like, I don't know who that is. I've never seen that person before. So it's like you're kind of starting. It almost feels like you're starting fresh on the beat again in some ways. Like in some
sure.
ways it's not, but in some ways it is. Just with like, the
Right.
new staff and everything. But it's been really cool. Obviously, Kyle Williams is going to be like the full time Nats reporter, so I'll kind of be helping him out and kind of being in the background. But I'm excited just to be around the team still, and I think they're building a lot of exciting things. It's going to be cool, kind of cool to follow and kind of chronicle and see how it all pans out.
Yeah, it's really interesting, how it all came together. Obviously, the Banner scooped up a lot of the folks from the Washington Post after all that. And I know we were talking about it in the beginning, but what's your relationship now with some of your former colleagues? I know that you and Spencer are extremely close. He cannot stop saying awesome things about you. And I'm curious what your relationship is like with your former colleagues.
Yeah, I still talk to my former colleagues a lot. Like, I mean, Spencer and I still probably text every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesse, who I work with on the Nats beat before Spencer took over, I talked to probably Jesse like probably every day. Especially the
Hmm.
baseball people, we were very tight. Like we all like shared ideas, connected, those sorts of things. But I still have long standing relationships with a lot of friends. Candace Buckner is a really good friend still. Sam
Hmm.
Forty is a good friend. There's Jerry Brewer who's been gone for a little bit. Like still love Jerry. Like,
Yeah.
um, my editors like Sarah, was our editor. I talk to Sarah a lot. Like we still all keep in touch. So it's still a family, always will be.
Yeah. Good. I'm
So
glad.
it's like good to keep establishing those connections and keeping in touch with people. Like I mean, you're with people every day, and like in some ways, like when you think about Spencer, it's Spencer and Jesse in particular, and Chelsea. It's like I would see them sometimes more than I'd see like my wife at times. So it's just like it's
Yeah.
kind of like a weird thing to say. It's super cliche to be like, oh yeah, like we see people more than we see our families, but like it really is like it is true in some ways, Like, so,
Sure.
when you establish those relationships, like you don't really, you never really lose those.
Yeah. No, for sure. Speaking of which, listen, this is a podcast. It is casual, but I do need to be journalistically sound and ethical and give you, Andrew Golden, the opportunity to respond to something that was said about you by Spencer. He said that
Okay.
you should feel bad about using Apple Music over Spotify. I want to give you the opportunity to respond in the journalistically ethical way to do so would be asking. So I want to give you the opportunity to do so. And for the record, I am on your side, sir. I am on your side. And I have told Spencer Nussbaum that as such.
Well, so like a couple of things. The first thing is that Spencer's really bogus for that because he didn't even tell me he was coming on this podcast he didn't
Oh,
say he was
really?
on the podcast. So like I didn't know that like he had said this, and so I'm looking at a clip of him on the show or whatever, and I see like Andrew, and I'm just casually scrolling on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, like Andrew, yeah, he uses Apple Music. And I'm like, why is Spencer talking about me on a podcast about him? Like, so I was like, what the heck? So I go and watch it, and I text him I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you can't expose me like that. Now, all that being said. I stand by Apple Music. The
Me
reality
too.
is I'm on a family plan with my parents since I've been on it
Oh,
since high
very
school.
cool.
And like I built a very large Rolodex of music that's been in my music stream since I was in high school. My parents are still paying for it, so it's free. So I'm like, I have no shame in my game at all. And so like the reality is like I'm going to keep doing that. If I were to restart all my playlists and bring them over to Spotify, it would take forever. So at this point, I'm locked in. I don't care what Spencer says. Like I get there are benefits. I hear it. Like my wife has Spotify and Apple Music, but she kind of uses Spotify a lot, and I generally get the benefits of it.
Did you say
But
she has
like
both?
she is both. She is both, which is interesting.
Why?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think she's a phone and family plan too. I think, and then
I mean, like,
also
good for her, but like,
but I
Why?
because I think there's like maybe she wants like the radio Spotify today. Maybe she has a specific playlist on Apple that she needs that day. So I don't know, but like
Interesting.
she has both. She has
I
both.
mean, I'm
So
not judging. I'm questioning like the logistics of like and like the motivations behind it.
yeah,
Not judging whatsoever,
I'll
but
have to ask her. I'll have to ask her.
I would be curious about that now. 'Cause it's like
I have to ask her.
that's like having like an Android and an iPhone.
The green text does throw me off a little bit. With all due respect to Android users, like it is a little bit of a throw off. I
It
do.
is.
It is a throw off. But yeah, that kind of is a very similar equivalent. But I'll have to ask her after we get off of here why she does.
It does throw me off, but now that there's the ability to see it say like delivered underneath,
Yes,
which
that is
wasn't
helpful.
a thing
That
for
is
a long time, that's kind of like almost eased it for me a little bit. But yeah, it definitely throws me off 100%. So, sticking on music for a minute, what are some of those playlists that you're rocking either when you're by yourself in the car, on your way to the ballpark? What's going on Andrew Golden's playlist?
Yeah, I mean, I have a mix of everything. I have some I love 90s R&B, so that's like kind of like my
Nice.
favorite genre. But I say like I like kind of current R&B, but I kind of prefer 90s and 2000s R&B. Like there's like it's like throwbacks like 70s soul and funk, like Motown kind of vibes. That's my
Very
parents were
nice.
growing up. I used to listen to that. Like there's gospel because I used to listen to gospel a lot. My parents' car growing up, so I listened to a lot of that as well. Mixing
Nice.
in some rap occasionally too. But I'm more of an R&B guy, so I think R&B like funk and soul, gospel, mix of all of that is probably kind of my vibe. It depends on what I'm feeling on a given day.
When you're specifically locked into working or writing on a story, well, first of all, are you the type of person who needs to listen to music while you're working?
No, that kind of throws me off. 'Cause if I'm trying to focus on like, okay, well, how am I trying to write this in the best way possible? And then I'm listening to like more words come in at the same time. Like I think somebody just throws me off. So I'm
That
kind
makes
of like,
sense.
I'm typically listening to a transcription or it's silent and I'm typing.
I mean, yeah.
I might take breaks if I need like a little break or a gap. I'll probably put on. But I think typically I'm more of like a just a transcription sound or nothing. It's I'm like I can't. There's too much stimulation at once.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, also, like, depends on what that song would be.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, like, I don't think rap or R&B is, like, the best type to focus on when you're working. Maybe a drive, but not when you're trying to transcribe a story
If it's
or
like
an interview.
minimal words, a good beat, and it's not like I don't have to think about the words. I don't hear it. It's not super loud. I could probably do some R&B maybe, but it just kind of depends on the mood I'm in typically.
I've been listening to jazz from
Okay.
time to time,
Yeah.
just, like,
Yeah.
recently when I'm editing, but it has to be, like, instrumental, and I'll just
Yeah.
put it on, like, um, the Alexa and just trying to do that, but it works a little bit, kinda really smooths my headspace a bit. What are some of your other go-tos that you need to do in order to, like, have a successful day? I'm curious if there's any, like, must-dos on your daily to-do list if you have that.
Trying to think of must do's. I kind of spend like I typically have like quiet time in the morning, like spending time like doing devotionals and kind of just like taking time to kind of like step back and relax and prepare for my day. Always love a good breakfast. Always big into my typical mornings are probably like like some sort of like sausage or bacon, some eggs, some hash browns, some
Nice.
waffles. I feel like if you start the day with a good meal, like you're setting yourself up well for success. And
100%.
gotten very into breakfast and ever since I got married, like my wife is very into breakfast now. So like now I've got this like if I don't have a good breakfast, it just throws me off. It just throws off my whole day.
You
Uh,
think?
but I feel, yeah, I think so. I think it's just like I just have to have a solid meal to set myself up well for the day.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, and like I think the funny thing is like now with the new job, new schedule, because like now my new role is like sports enterprise and features. I'm trying to figure out my new
Yeah.
schedule. Like, there's just a different cadence and a different rhythm, I think, versus beat reporting. In some ways, like in terms of how I set myself up for the day, like those are the two things that I really need. But then after that, like I'm still trying to figure out what that looks like for me to have a successful day.
Yeah. No,
So
that's fair.
yeah, let's
That's
just figure it
fair.
out.
It's it's certainly different demands from, like, beat reporting to, like, sports enterprise reporting and feature writing. You have more time to, like, dig deep into a story, which I feel like everybody selfishly wants.
Yeah.
you know? Versus, like, the demands of, like, beat reporting where you're hunting for stories and things like that. What's that adjustment been like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely been different. Like, it's like, I think when you're covering a beat and you're covering a specific team, like, the stories, like, it's not like the stories come to you, but it's like there is a little bit more of a structure of, like, every day you know what you're working on, what you're writing, and, like, there's, like, general themes throughout the season you've been following. The
Sure.
more that you're covering the team, the more that you know the trends and the storylines and the themes. Um, with Enterprise, and granted, it's only been 2 months, like, you kinda have to, like, seek the stories out in a way that's like you define the stories yourself versus the stories kind of finding you. And so that's kind of been the biggest adjustment for me.
Yeah.
Or like connect and meet people to kind of like find out what the stories are that are interesting to me, but to other people. Like, what are the things that like really matter to the people in the Baltimore community about sports that maybe I'm not thinking about? And so I think it's
Right.
definitely been a big adjustment for sure. And then obviously, as you mentioned, just having a little bit more time to kind of report things out, like just like like beat reporting is a little bit like quicker turnarounds. You could do 2 interviews in a day or whatever. Okay, I gotta turn this around for, in 2 days or whatever, versus like enterprise is like, hey, like you have a week to work on this or whatever. It's like you have time to go back. Like, so when I first started on the beat, like my goal was like I want to transcribe every interview I get and like then like 'cause I like to transcribe so I remember what I'm thinking. I know what the best
Of
quotes are.
course.
I can kinda like plug it into stories and kind of have the theme. But when you're covering a beat, it's really hard to like it's really hard to like
Yeah,
transcribe
time doesn't
every
exist.
single interview, yeah, and, like, so I think that was something I had to learn is just, like, how do I, like okay, like, you can list back to the transcription, but you can know what nuggets you're gonna use and what parts are important, like, how do I scan through this quickly to get what I need? But now applying that to enterprise where it's like, okay, I actually have a little bit more time than I think. You hear guys in baseball talk a lot about, like, how they're trying to get out in front for a fastball, and so you actually have more time than you think, you can go the opposite way. Maybe that's kinda how I'm approaching things, where it's like, I actually have a little bit more
Yeah.
time than I realize I have, and so I think it's kinda been an interesting adjustment. It's like I have a little bit more time than I thought I did. Not like I'm spending like weeks at a time on a story, but like
For
okay, like
sure.
I don't have to rush this. Like I can take my time to make sure this is right.
Yeah. I mean, I've felt that way too a little bit
Also,
even.
sorry for the baseball analogy, man.
Oh, it's
it's my baseball.
natural.
It's my
It's
baseball brain.
natural. Has that been was that always a favorite sport of yours growing up?
Yeah.
Did you fall into it at all? Why does baseball resonate with you so much?
Yeah, I started playing when I was 4 years old. Like,
Mm,
I remember, like, we had our first practice, like, a Reisterstown rec baseball practice, like, at, like, a little, like, a little grassy patch across the street from, our head coach's house, and I remember just, like, hitting a baseball and kinda looking at my dad. My dad grew up loving baseball too, and
yeah.
he wasn't gonna, like, pressure me to play it, but he did love it or whatever, and so, like, I remember, like, hitting a baseball and he's, like, feeling how cool that felt. I remember looking at him, and he kinda had a smirk on his face, and I was like, "Okay, like, I get it." It's like from then, like, I was hooked. I think, like, we just had a mutual love for the game, and it just kind of, like, evolved and, played it in elementary, middle school, high school, and then I was like, "How can I stay involved in this in some capacity?" And then, when I got to the Post, like, I was covering the Commanders for a little bit. I was on the sports breaking news team, and they called me, and they were like, "Hey, like, do you wanna cover baseball?" And I was like, "That sounds great." And, like, it was like I always grew up loving baseball, and I thought I really knew it really well, but, like, you don't actually know it as well as you think. Like, there's so many more intricacies
Of
of the game,
course.
and you don't really realize, like I mean, you know the game, but, you get to the professional level, and it's like, you gotta know it. And so I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it wasn't like a huge learning curve as I was covering, like, some sport I never covered before, but, like, there were definitely some nuances for sure that I hadn't thought about.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. When you were covering the Commanders and, doing the breaking news, what happened to the love of baseball? Did you feel like it go away? Or I'm curious what that was like for you, because obviously it's a big passion of yours, but when you're on a beat for the Commanders, or covering breaking news, your mind is there. Some people might say, you don't always have time for your passions. I'm
Sure.
curious where the baseball one went there during that time.
Yeah, I never lost the love for baseball. I always loved baseball. Like, I don't think
Sure.
that will ever change, nor will it ever change even now having covered it and being away from it.
Right.
I think when I was in college, for whatever reason, like, just the way that, like, our newspaper was structured and the way things went, like, I just didn't cover baseball in college. Like, I don't know what that reasoning I covered softball, but I primarily covered football and basketball, and so I think, like
Could you have done baseball if you wanted to?
I think so, but I think like, there's, like, the way the beats were structured, some people had, like, their beats, and I just for whatever reason, I just in the way timing worked
Yeah.
out, I just didn't get. to cover.
No,
And
I'm
I
the
also
same way.
COVID happened spring of junior year, so like that maybe
Yeah,
might have been time to do it. But yeah, I just think for whatever reason it never happened. But like the love for baseball never went away. And I was always like, it'd be cool if I got an opportunity to cover baseball. For me, like I just wanted to cover a sport. And I wanted a job, so I didn't really care what it was. Like you could
yeah.
have had me covering curling. I would have figured it out. You know what I mean? Like it's like it didn't really matter to me.
I've always
But
wanted to.
yeah, right. Like yeah,
Dude,
like no
curling's
matter what it
lit.
was. Yeah, yeah. We could have figured it out regardless. But I always loved baseball. I knew at some point, I'm sure I would come back to it at some point. It just happened to be, covering the Nationals in 2022. They gave me the opportunity, and I ran with that. I like covering the Commanders too. I liked everything I covered, but I think baseball was
Totally.
it was a unique opportunity for me for sure.
Tell me about that sense of, like, alignment then, when you are then covering the Nationals, um, what does that feel like for you? When your passion is now your work, is now the thing you've loved since you were 4 years old, and you're around professionals every single day. What's that alignment like for you?
Yeah, I think the key for that, like, I think sometimes you have to remember why you did it and how cool this would be. Like, I think one of the things I had to remind myself, because like, I think the thing about being a professional and being like a journalist is like, or like you grow up wanting to do this job or whatever, and having this role and have this opportunity to cover baseball, and then you actually start doing it, like you feel the pressures of like trying to be successful, making sure you're owning the beat, all these different. So you feel like these external, these maybe not even external, these internal pressures, maybe that are formed based off the external expectations. It's like I had to like meet some sort of standard or meet some sort of like bar of the beat writer at the Washington Post. And I think maybe at times like
And that's
I
hard
think
to do.
yeah, like, I think at times I loved it. Let me not say at times. Like I loved it like all the time, but I think sometimes I maybe get stressed out about like, am I doing the best job possible? Am I writing the best story possible? Whatever. And so sometimes I think it took away from the like, oh, you're just doing this because you love to do this. And I think towards the end of my time on the beat, as I got more comfortable, I felt that more. But I think early on there was a little bit of like imposter syndrome, a little bit of like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to be successful at this? Like, how does that?
Story of
Yeah,
my damn life.
yeah, yeah. I think I think a lot of people feel that way, and I think that like if you lose sight of why you enjoy doing it, like that's when you run into trouble. And so I think like, and no matter what, I think what I'm learning, I'm hoping to apply this just to my life in general. But like no matter what it is, like this is something that I had hoped to be doing, and this is something that I really dreamed of doing, like all these different things of that nature. And so like when I'm in these roles and there are complicated days or things get tough, like why am I doing this? Like it's because I had a passion for this and I wanted to do this. And so I think like I always try to remind myself, like, if you would have told like 10-year-old me that he would be covering the Washington Nationals for the Washington Post, he would be like, he would have been like, dude, that's pretty sick. So I think like try to like keep that perspective. But it's not always easy. But I think like as I've gotten older and more into my career, I think I'm trying to like learn that as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that it's amazing to have that perspective, and you're right, it is really tough. I've certainly felt that myself. Um, certainly after, my time with Sportico ended because, of how, condensed it was. I mean, 6 months is
Mhm.
not a long time, but I'm proud of the work that I did there.
Yeah.
So I totally, totally empathize and just really resonate with that experience that you had of reminding yourself of like your why. It's super important. I do that a lot here with the sport profile too. Not always easy every day, but I do love it. I do love everything that I am doing and building with it. So it
Yeah.
really, really resonates
And I
with
think
me.
the other thing too, this is the other thing that kept me going is that
Yeah.
so my granddad's a native Washingtonian. He grew up in Southwest DC, basically where Nass Park kinda is in that area, and,
Yeah.
he grew up reading the paper, like, reading the Washington Post, like, every day, whatever, whatever, and so, like, when I started there, that was kind of like a full circle moment for my family in a lot of ways, and, like,
Mm,
and, like, he, like and this is crazy to me, I don't even know how he does this, but he would keep, like, every newspaper article that I wrote, like, he kept it in a box or whatever, and so when I was
really?
I was at their house, or my mom was at their house and was like, "You know, your grandfather like keeps all your Washington Post like stories in a box." And I was like, "That's." Like I knew about it, but I like it's a different thing to actually like see it. But I think that puts into perspective too, where it's like he would call me every day, and I may have been like, "Oh, that story wasn't that good. Maybe I could use a better quote. Maybe I could have written this better, whatever, whatever." And he calls me, he's like, "Andrew, you were in the paper today. Did you know that, or whatever?" And like it's like he's like 90 years old, or whatever. And so it's like it's
Oh,
like when you
wow.
put it in
God
perspective,
bless
it's
him.
like, and when you put that into perspective, it's like my grandfather like is like watching his grandson like write for the Washington Post and write these stories. So I think like I think as I got like more into my career, I was like, this is what it's all about. You know, like this is
Yeah.
really what it's all about. And so like that made it a little bit easier. I wish I remembered that maybe my first year, my second year, but I think like, you know, by my third or fourth year, I was like, you know what, this is pretty cool. Let me not be so hard on myself.
Yeah.
Naturally, we're always gonna be hard on ourselves, but I think there's levels to it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the classic stereotype about journalists, and it's certainly true for me, is that, they are incredibly critical people, and I think for good reason,
Yeah,
because we receive so much of it,
yeah,
from editors, from readers, and, whoever it may be, but when when it's when it's done right, it's done right,
yeah.
and it
And
really
like
sticks.
we had to ask questions. Like that's our job. Like you had to be critical. Like it's just like kind
Yeah.
of the role, but it's also it's like, hey, like you got to lay off yourself a little bit as well. Like, you got to, you know,
That's it's the It's one of the hardest and toughest things to do, but, when you find that balance, you really find it.
yeah.
First of all, how's your grandpa doing now?
He's great. He's great.
Good.
He and my grandmother are both 90. They live in
Wow.
Catonsville, Maryland. So they used to live in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and then they moved to Catonsville. So they're
Mhm.
doing great. I try to see him every other week or so. I
Good.
call him a couple times a week, and so I probably should call him more. I definitely should call him more. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, like it's cool, and my granddad was really excited about the fact that I landed another role so quickly. He couldn't even fathom. He's like, "What do you mean the Washington Post is like cutting the sports?" So he couldn't even fathom it. But you know, it's good. It's good to see.
Yeah.
It's good to see like that he still is really happy about what I'm doing, and he loves sports too. A lot of my love for sports happened. He was a huge Washington football team fan, so he was a big
Sure.
fan growing up. Had a huge like Washington football room in their old place that was like,
That's
you
sick.
know, every part of the wall had some sort of decal or something put up in there. And so, you know, a lot of my sports love it came from my dad for sure, but it also definitely came from my granddad too.
Was he a collector at all?
I don't know if he was like a collector, but like I think naturally by the amount of stuff that he had, he kind of accidentally became a collector. If that makes sense. Like, I don't think it was
Oh,
his intent.
definitely.
Like he just has so much stuff in his room.
Yeah,
Um,
I covered
it's
that a bit at Sportico, and it's so interesting to see the fact that, like, the thing that I always came away from is that people just fall into it.
yeah,
They never set out to do that. They always fall into it. It's inherited, you know,
yeah,
and then you
yeah.
build upon it.
I wish I had a photo. I was gonna see if I could find a photo. It's not even gonna show up well on here, but like, his room. I was like, this is like kind of
Oh,
his
love to
room. So
see.
have all of it. But I can't find it. But if I do find it, I'll show it to you for sure.
Oh, please, please. So, aside from your journalism, aside from your obligations to, yourself, what are some of the things that you're really doing to take care of yourself, throughout the day?
Yeah, I think just trying to find ways to keep my mind occupied and not always being on my job. I try to run as much as possible. There's like a little baseball field about maybe half a mile from our
Mm,
where we live, and so I try to go run as much as possible. But honestly, I think the most important thing is just spending time with your family or friends, or you surround yourself with good people. Like it'll
yeah.
always make life more fun and easier. And so obviously, like my wife is like my best friend, and so it's been really cool just to like we've been married for what 9, 10 months, and so like
Oh, that's awesome.
it's like
Congratulations.
very fresh, very fresh. So it's been
Yeah, that's great, dude.
fun getting to learn and grow together. And obviously, as you mentioned, like we have like it was her dog, now it's our dog, but like learning how to like be a stepfather is the right word. I don't know if stepfather is the right word, but
Stepfather to the dog?
yeah, stepfather to the dog, I guess. Yeah, I
I
keep
mean
joking.
by definition,
By
yes.
definition, yeah, yeah. So it's been cool. Like it's been cool. Like you know, learning what that's been like too. Having I never had pets growing up, so that's kind
Oh,
of
I
been
was gonna ask if you did.
yeah. My parents, the running joke was like they'll either have pets or children, but not both. And so I'm glad they chose children. Very happy to be here.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
outside
same.
of a goldfish, they were like, no, like we're good.
Yeah,
So
we didn't
uh,
have anything. My sister always desperately wanted something,
yeah,
and I think her line was that once you move out, we'll get you a dog. She has, and I want to say like not a year. It was definitely under a year ago. She was like, "Hey, so I actually have moved out now. Are we gonna make good on that promise?"
Right, exactly, and they
I
had to,
don't
right? They
think my
had to.
parents will.
Right, right. I mean, they're great though, and I think the reason my parents didn't want to have a pet because they're like, we're going to end up taking care of it, and you're not going to take care of it. Was like now knowing what it's like to take care of a pet. Not that it's a bad thing, but now I understand like how much responsibility is of like when they
Yep.
make like he's like,
Yep.
I don't think I understood like how much they like rely on you for so many like, I mean, obviously, you know that, but, like, actually living it is a very different experience for me. I'm like, "Oh," I'm like,
Totally.
"Why is he looking at me?" I'm just, like, sitting here watching TV, and he's like, "Take me on a walk." Like, "What are you doing?" He's like scratching on the couch, like, getting my attention. I'm like, "Man, this is, like, a different experience." It's been a great experience. That's definitely how I keep myself occupied.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, man. I love that. I wanted to ask about how, the different places in your life have kinda shaped you. You grew up here in the DC area, and I know that you went to Northwestern in Chicago. How has, going away to college, from your hometown really shaped you? And now working in the place where you grew up, how has that kinda shaped you now? Having the experiences away from home, now tying that, to who you are now.
Yeah, it was really great. I think when I was looking at colleges, Northwestern is probably the farthest west I looked for a college.
Mm,
Like everything else is on the East Coast. Um, I think it was good for me to get away from home. My parents and I are very tight to this day, are very
of
tight.
course.
But I think that it was good for me to kind of experience and kind of have life on my own, and not be able to rely on my parents. And I think it was just good to explore and learn about myself, learn about what was important to me, what did I value, like, how do I find my voice on my own, all those sorts of things, like, how do I decide what's important to me, and things of that nature, and so I think it was cool to, like, go to college and experience that, meet a lot of great people, like, I think, um, I mean, college, those 4 years, like, some of the best. I mean, obviously, COVID was a little bit tough, but just in terms of
Yeah,
the people, like, college is all about the people, like, it's just about the people you meet, and, like, however you meet them, like, I met so many friends through newspaper, I was an orientation leader and met a bunch of people there, like, I think, like, everything that I did allowed me to meet so many great people, and I think that's what makes your experiences really important, and so I think it was just good to, like, get out, get to somewhere a little bit unfamiliar, obviously being in Evanston, which is, near Chicago, it's very funny, like, everybody's like, "Northwestern, that's in Chicago," and, like, I have some
how far
friends
is it actually? I mean, I have no clue.
30 minutes or so, like,
That's not
downtown, 30, 40
terrible.
minutes, so it's not terrible, but, like, if you meet a Chicago person, Northwestern, who's and you say, like, "Oh, Northwestern's in Chicago," like, it's not Chicago, it's Evanston, like, it's a separate thing, so I would be very careful I wouldn't be very careful to say that.
I
But
can
yeah.
see how people have a strong stance against that.
Yeah, I have a few friends who were like, "That is not Chicago, like, that is not Chicago."
It's
And
like
so
it's probably the perception that they have to, like, spend the majority of, like, their lives, like, dispelling.
Right, oh, absolutely, absolutely, and so, like,
Yeah,
I think it was, like, cool to have that experience to get out there and meet new people, try some things new. I really feel like I'm, better off for having been there. Obviously, I ended up coming
totally.
back. I obviously ended up coming back closer to home. Obviously, like, being in DC, like, obviously grew up in Baltimore. It's like, I'm glad I was able to come back home and find some community in a closer place. So I'm glad that happened. I'm glad I'm able to be
Mhm.
close to my grandparents and my parents and things of that nature. But it was cool to get out, like, and experience stuff. I think everybody should do that. Like get out and like experience things and step outside your comfort zone a little bit because I think you'll be better off for it.
100%. Do you have any recommendations around the Northwestern area, Evanston area specifically? Not
Are we
Chicago, Evanston?
recommendations for food? Is that what they're talking about
Yeah,
food?
recommendations, places to sightsee.
Yeah, there's a burrito place called Tomate, and man,
Ooh,
I miss Tomate so much. I really do. I
it
do. Like
the
they just
way
had the
you
burrito.
said that tells me, 1,
Yeah,
everything I need to know, 2,
yeah.
I'm sure they got a lot of your money.
Yeah, way too much. But the thing is, like, they're that's what makes it so good. Like, Tomate was like, it was such a good price for like a burrito that was so filling. It just was like they basically brand themselves as like street tacos or whatever, or street
Sure.
burritos. Just unbelievable. I yeah, I'm kind of hungry now, so I probably shouldn't. I probably should.
Oh, man, there's a really good taco place around the corner from me called Tio Taco, and, first of all, they do half price tacos every Tuesday, shout out Tio Taco, and I'm first of all, I'm pumped that Cinco de Mayo falls on a Taco Tuesday this year.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
first time
Timing's
since
perfect.
2020,
Timing's
I
perfect.
heard. It is, and it's not gonna happen for another, like, 10 to 12 years.
It's okay. So
I
you
heard
you you
too.
you gotta lock in.
Oh, you
You
bet.
gotta lock in.
They don't take reservations, but
Tough.
damn, I mean, I wish they did. And the last question I always ask everybody is really just your journalism career aside and your professional career aside, just really you as a person. Andrew Golden, what's something you like most to admire about yourself?
Oh man, what I most admire about myself. Um, I don't like complimenting myself, so so I'm trying to think. It's just a problem. I know. I know. Um,
Hey, no wrong answers.
I think I do a good job of making people feel welcomed and included. Just making people feel like I'm a voice they can talk to, a person that they can feel comfortable being themselves around. And I think I pride myself on that. And so um, I think that just being a welcoming presence for everybody. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm gonna stick with that. I'm happy with that answer. I'm happy with that answer.
It's a great answer. It is a great answer. I can only hope that we continue to make people around us feel comfortable and tell great stories along the way and give our loved ones a call from time to time
Yes,
and
very important.
just enjoy everything that we're doing. Andrew
Yep.
Golden, thank you so much for coming on, my friend.
Yeah, for sure, Dylan. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.